we're just going to take a minute to get set up. Okay, thanks Alex for the introduction. So I'm Sara and this is Yihua, and we're excited to finally be out of beta and get to show you guys our newest product, BoostHQ. So to start, I'm going into a little bit of background on why we built it. SkyPrep is actually our flagship product. So we work as a SaaS company in the corporate training and development space, and we produce a cloud-based learning management system that helps all companies administer and track any e-learning that they provide to their employees. So this past August, we were named one of the top LMS platforms in North America, but the award that we're most proud of is that we won the most user-friendly LMS platform that's available on the market today. So we've grown to having over 500 customers, like Alex mentioned, and this includes some names that you might remember or be familiar with, like TIFF and the Vancouver Canucks. So a large part of that growth and success has been taking the time to really talk to our customers and understand their pain points. And one of the points that came up repeatedly from these meetings was that while they were able to use SkyPrep to effectively manage their larger enterprise training programs, they didn't have a tool that really reflected how employees learn and work on a day-to-day basis. So when you're at work, you're usually not flipping through manuals or looking at formal training packages, and instead when you have a question, you're going to ask one of your peers or you'll search online. And this informal and constant knowledge exchange and information exchange is how 80% of all learning and work happen in every single organization. So this is from small startups that are just starting out, all the way down to large enterprise organizations. So our clients and customers didn't really have a tool or easy way to handle this side of learning and work. So for the past year, we've been developing BoostHQ. It's the best and most efficient way for your teams to share links, files, and thoughts on that actually boost your team's performance. So even though knowledge exchange and sharing are pretty critical to your workflow, it's not a process that's very easy to accomplish right now. So if we think about how this works presently, for example, I'm working on a marketing campaign right now, I might find a really useful article or link that I need to share with my team. So when I do find it, I have to interrupt my workflow and either email it or Slack it, find a way to message it to whoever's available, interrupting them from their work because they've got to take a break and kind of give me feedback or have a short discussion on whatever I'm working on. And this is completely missing out the teammates that aren't available at that time. So a whole cohort of my team will end up not taking part in that discussion, and they're never going to go back into Slack and scroll endlessly to see what was discussed, what was shared. So there's a subset that miss it, and then eventually I have to go back and kind of get them up to speed. So let's say a week later, I need to use a couple of those templates from the marketing article that I found, and I need to know which ones my team suggested. First, my biggest problem is finding out how and where I shared it. And then once I've found it, which I don't know how long it takes, I'm digging through emails and Slack messages, trying to find the bits and pieces of information that are actually relevant to what I need to be working on. So the problem with sharing, though, is not just me sending it out. The bigger issue is that we're overloaded with information. We spend most of our time searching and digging through things that have been shared with us, but we don't have access to them when we actually need them. And that's reflected in all of our workflow. So say Yihua, a couple weeks later, is updating that marketing campaign. He was one of the teammates who didn't get to sit in on that Slack conversation and contribute. He'll come up to me, kind of ask, what's going on? Can you help me out with the different templates? How about you share that link with me again? And I'm back to Google, looking all over again for that content that I found like 3 or 4 times now. So even though I'm back to square one, this process is necessary. It's happening in your teams right now in all different organizations, and it's tedious, it's extremely inefficient, but we need to be able to do it, and the workarounds we're using right now weren't built with this in mind. So I'm hoping the internet is cooperative, but Yihua and I are going to hop into a live demo and very quickly show you how we built Boost to make this process very easy. Okay, so that example with the marketing campaign is very real. I'm trying to make a more robust marketing campaign at work with my team right now. And so I spend a lot of time doing what any early stage startup employee does, and that's taking a look at best practices and guides that are available. But when I come across great content that I need to get through to my team, I boost it. So we're going to open up the extension and share it to a channel. So I'm not fiddling between email tabs. I'm not stopping even reading the article. My workflow continues seamlessly, and the article is shared to whichever channel I choose and whichever group of teammates that I design or decide are most relevant to it. Any content, so you saw Yihua kind of type right into the extension box. Any comments or discussion that I have relevant to that content is tacked onto it. And it stays that way so that I'm not going through and sifting all these different messaging platforms looking for the plethora of different tidbits later on. So I've got my colleague Roz sitting in the audience right now. Not seeing a hand. Oh, okay, perfect. So she can share any feedback or discussion directly into whatever content that I've shared. So you can see the piece open right now. Everything's iframed within Boost, so you're able to have that discussion while consuming content directly. And she can get back to it whenever she has the time. This is really important in BoostHQ because it's designed to stay tacked onto the content, which ensures that one, my team is always up to speed. They can always get back to something regardless of what they were working on that day. And two, it stays contextual. It doesn't matter when you search it. So you don't really need to come ask me, hey, why did you share that thing? Or do you think we're going to be updating the marketing campaign? Everything's kind of laid out for you. So when it comes to actually searching with Boost, it's very quick. So unlike group chat or things like Slack, where it's meant to be very transient, kind of one-off sharing, Boost is made for that retrieval process. So in something like Slack, it's usually so tedious. I'm not going to sit there going through it and scrolling. I'll just ask you to share it again. But with Boost, you can kind of see from Yihua's example that it pulls up everything relevant to me anytime I search. So aside from external links and YouTube videos that you find online, there's also a whole cohort of actual material that you need at work that are your internal documents, and Boost is able to host all of those as well. So we host, like I said, any type of content, and some of the newer integrations we've included are the whole Google Drive assortment. So you're able to edit docs and leverage the tools that your team has already committed to directly through Boost. And this way your team also has access to all the materials that you use of internal documents, files, if you're updating Photoshop files, for example. Earlier, you guys saw how easy it is to share using the Boost Chrome extension, but when it comes to searching, it's even cooler. So we can activate show in Google results. And I know disruptive is kind of the golden word in tech, but this is something that we've tried to stay away from when it comes to Boost. So it's as seamless as possible within your workflow. You're able to search kind of like you always do, but in this use case, you can see that it pulls up content that's relevant to you that your team has shared within Boost. So, sorry, 1 second. So we built out this feature specifically because it handles that retrieval process. You get the material, whether it's internal or external links or documents, exactly when you're looking for them. And you can be sure that it's going to be useful to you because it's already things that's being vetted by your team. It's not necessarily you sifting through Google's results all over again. That doesn't really help you out at the end of the day. So we're currently working on taking this search one step further with even smarter searching. So Boost will eventually be able to tailor results and content recommendations based on the user. Our iOS app is actually already out, so you can kind of explore this also on your phone. All that sharing and content consumption, all the features are already built out, and we're releasing Android soon. And lastly, we're also always improving and adding further integrations. So for example, our next release has Slack channels tied in with Boost channels, and by attaching them, you're able to kind of have that repository building up, so anytime you dump something in Slack, it'll be in the analogous Boost channel. So I know this was a really brief demo, but I hope you guys have seen that we built Boost specifically for how teams work. There are a ton of additional features that I didn't really have time to touch on right now, but we've got a booth outside, so you can come take a look. And we're hoping to take that same award-winning user design and apply it to Boost. Lastly, we're a growing team and we're hiring, so if you want to get involved, steps outside.
Questions?
Hello?
Hi, there's a big issue with Google extensions in that when you do authorize the extension, it says it can see everything that you're doing. Have you guys seen drop-off with that authorization, and how are you addressing privacy concerns?
So generally, yes, like we do request certain permissions when people do ask to install the extension. However, the information that we ourselves actually do track, we don't actually store any of their searches. We just take it and we search their internal database that they have in Boost for any of the resources related to the actual things that they've shared. So on our end, we actually do not store any of that user information because it is a violation of certain policies. Yes, we are. But so far, our adoption of the extension is actually probably the most consistent of our use case. Generally, in the feedback we've received is because it's so convenient that sharing speed doesn't break up the workflow, and that's probably the most effective thing in actually kind of justifying what we have.
And then another aspect of the extension is the search, which I brought up. So it's one of those things that's tied to your user ID, but it's not stored again. And being able to pull from anything. So once you tie your Dropbox to our platform, or if you're able to search other documents that you uploaded, it's so helpful to kind of like pop onto Google instead and be able to find, you know, policy versions from 2 years ago at your company that otherwise you'd be like looking at different computers or colleagues asking them.
Last question.
Hey there, Jesse from PwC. Really great solution. Thanks for sharing. Curious about how piloting in an enterprise environment has been so far. So I'm just curious what that is. Is someone typically rolling it out right away, or what does that pilot look like for an enterprise with this tool?
So we developed Boost while talking to our enterprise clients. They had siloed teams, and some were working fantastically, some were falling behind, and they wanted to know kind of what was the learning or what is happening within some of these work silos that we can't adopt over to other teams. And it ends up being thought leaders and this kind of informal learning that's being very fostered in some subsets. So there's been a lot of excitement and early interest from our enterprise clients. During our beta, we actually released it to some of our own SkyPrep clients as a module within SkyPrep. So we've had really good feedback so far. There's actually a whole assortment and cohort of features that I don't really go over in these type of demos, but for our enterprise clients, so those tie into things like their HR software and being able to search additional tools where they host content. If you want to know more, I can definitely get into details outside.
Thank you.